Om Namah Shivaya children, good morning. So I think you are clear with the part we learned in the last class. So we saw about the different parts of the, we studied about the calyx, corolla and all those things. And we saw the different types of estivation in plants. Along with that we saw based on different characters how flowers can be divided. Now let us move on to our today's part children. So we are going to learn with androecium. So we saw calyx and corolla. Now let us start with androecium. So what is androecium? It is nothing but it is composed of stamens. I hope you know what is stamen, right? So this is the stamen part of the flower, this one, right? And what does the stamen represent? It represents the male reproductive system. And what does a stamen contain? It contains a stalk which is called as filament and an anther. So you can see the stalk here and an anther on the head portion of that stalk. Now, how is this anther designed? So each anther is usually bilobed, right? So this is one anther and this will be bilobed. You can see it here. There is a division here, right? So it will have two lobes or two divisions there. Okay, and each of this lobe will have two chambers which are called as pollen sacs. You can see a pink colored structure here, and you can see it is just this one is one chamber, this one is one chamber, and this is another chamber, right? So they will be like this, right? Here, just 1 second. So it will be like this. 4 chambers will be there, right? So this is one lobe and this is another lobe. So this is what they have shown. This one, this part and this part, right? So how is anther? It is usually bilobed. Each of this lobe has two chambers called as pollen sacs. So we can see it here. This is one chamber and the other one is the other lobe, right? So this is one lobe and this is one lobe, and it has two chambers. The pink colored portion is the chambers. Chambers are nothing but rooms. So they will have one lobed structure will have 2 rooms. So total it will be 4 rooms. Okay, and these structures, these chambers are called it is called as the pollen sacs. You can see pollen grains which is shown in the color of pink, right? So this is about the pollen sac. I hope it is now clear, right? So this is the bilobed. Bilobed means it will have 2 lobes, divisions. One is this part and one this part, right? And it has 2 chambers inside it, and these are called as pollen sacs. And this pollen sacs will contain the pollen grain, and pollen sacs contains the pollen grain. Now the sterile stamen is called as staminode. What is the sterile stamen? Sterile stamen means stamens which do not produce these pollen grains are called as sterile stamen, and they are named as staminode. Okay, now let us move on to the next part. So let us now learn about the types of stamen, right? So stamens of flower may be united with other members such as petal. So in all the flowers, stamen is not free, right? So in some flowers they may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves itself. On the other petals and kuda combine in some flowers, and in some flowers they will combine with themselves itself. It means that many stamens are together, they will combine. So when stamen are attached to the petals, they are called as epipetalous. You can see it here. When the stamen is attached to the petal, you can see this is the petal portion. At the tip of the petal and the point where the petal and the stamen is meeting up, there they are attached to each other. Okay, so when stamen are attached to the petal, they are epipetalous. Example, it is brinjal, right? So stamens are attached to petal, they are called as epipetalous. An example is brinjal. And when stamens are attached to perianth, what is perianth? The sepal and the petal together forms the perianth. So when stamen are attached to the perianth, they are called as epiphyllous. Okay, So epiphyllous is a term which is to denote the stamens are attached to the perianth. An example of a flower is lily. Okay, now let us move on to the next part. So now we learned if it is attached to the petal, it is called as epipetalous or it is called as epiphyllous, right? So when it is attached to the petal, they are epipetalous, and when they are attached to the perianth, they are called as epiphyllous. Okay, now let us see. So let's see how the stamens are seen united and how they are seen separately, right? So I told that either they will be united with petal or they will be uniting with themselves. It means that stamen itself will start uniting in some flowers. So the stamen in flower may either remain free, that is polyandrous. So you can see it here, this is polyandrous. All these stamens are free, right? So if the stamen and the flower are free, it is called as polyandrous. And if the stamen are united, it is called as synandrous. Okay, when the stamen are united, it is called as synandrous. Okay, it is called as synandrous. So if the stamen and a flower are free, it is called as polyandrous, and the stamen are united, it is called as synandrous. You can see it here. So here all the stamens are united at a part. Now the stamens may be united in different varying degrees. അപ്പോൾ ഈ synandrous എന്ന് പറയുന്ന condition, it is not same in all the flowers, right? So this synandrous condition, it has many varying degrees. പല തരത്തിലാണ് ഈ synandrous ഉള്ളത്. So it can be again divided into 3. Let us see what are these 3 structures. So synandrous stamens are many types. So they are monoadalphous, then diadalphous, polyadalphous. So these are 3 types of synandrous stamen. So monoadalphous, it is nothing but stamens are united into one bunch or one bundle. Example, China rose. You can see it here. So they are arranged as one bunch or one bundle. ഒരു bundle ആയിട്ടാണ് ഒരു പ്ലേസിന് ചുറ്റിലും ഉള്ളത്. So such a stamen is called as monoadalphous. Example is China rose. Now coming to the next one, which is diadalphous. This diadalphous stamens are united into 2 bundles. You can understand from the name itself. It has diadalphous. It means that it will have 2 united bunches. So stamens are united into 2 bundles. Example is pea flower. Okay, 2 bundles ആയിട്ടാണ് അവർ യുണൈറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. You can see this bundle and this one, right? So stamens are united into 2 bundles. Example pea. And then comes the polyadalphous. So here the stamens are united into more than 2 bundles. 2 bundlesൽ കൂടുതൽ bundle ആയിട്ടാണ് ഉണ്ടാവുക. Example is citrus. You can see it here. So it has many bundles in one flower itself. Okay, so stamens are united with more than 1 bundle. Example is the citrus, right? So this is about the androecium, children. The variation in the length of the filament. So in all the flowers, the length of the filament will differ. It is not same in all the flower. So there may be variation in length of filaments within a flower. Within the flowers, we can say that there will be variation in the length of filament. Example is salvia and mustard, right? So now let us move on to the next part, children, that is gynoecium. So we saw about androecium. Let us move on to gynoecium. So we all know that gynoecium is the female part of the flower, right? So gynoecium or the pistil is the female reproductive part of a flower, and it is made of 1 or more carpels. ഒന്നോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ കൂടുതൽ carpels. Together it forms the gynoecium portion, right? So gynoecium is also called as pistil or carpel. Okay, so in this female reproductive part, the carpel has 3 parts in it, right? So but the female reproductive part, how many parts does it have? It has 3 parts. The uppermost portion is the stigma, and the middle portion is the style, and the lower end is the ovary. Okay, so if we see the structure of all these parts, we can find that stigma, it is usually at the tip of the style. you can see this is the style portion, and at the tip we are able to find the stigma, right? So it is usually at the tip of the style and is receptive surface for pollen grains, and this is acting as a surface to to attach this pollen grain. Receptive surface എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അവിടെ വന്ന് ആ pollen grains നിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന capacity ഉള്ള surface ആണ് stigma, right? So it is usually at the tip of the style and as receptive surface for pollen grain. Now coming to the second one, which is the style. It is an elongated tube that connects ovary to stigma. So this is an elongated tube which connects the stigma to the ovary. So the upper portion called a stigma, it is connected to the ovary through the style, right? And now coming to the last one, ovary. It is an enlarged basal part. So this part is an enlarged basal part on which style lies. So it is in this portion the style lies, and each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to a flat cushion like placenta. Okay, so you can see the center structure, right? So that is called as placenta. So on this placenta they are seen in different types. So on this placenta either they will bear one or more ovules and it is attached to a flat cushion called as placenta. Okay, എവിടെയാണ് ഈ ovules എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്? These are the egg, right? So they are the one who have to give rise to a new organism. So ovary, it is the basal part on which the style lies, and each ovary it will bear one or more ovules which is attached to a flat cushion like placenta. So this placenta, it is not in the same way in all the flowers. It will differ. We will learn about that in the next part, right? So every ovary it bears one or more ovules attached to a flat cushion like placenta, right? Now let us see about the so as we said earlier, flower will have one or more pistil or carpel in them, right? So when there is more than one carpel present, then they can be seen in two types, right? So polycarpellary pistils. Polycarpellary means many carpels, many female reproductive part. If a flower has many female reproductive part, we can divide this polycarpellary pistil into two. So pistil with many carpels is called polycarpellary pistil, and they are of two type. One is apocarpus and the other one is syncarpus. This is what we learnt in androecium also, right? So here it is apocarpus and syncarpus. Now let us see what is apocarpus. When more than one carpel is present and they are free, when these carpel are free എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒന്നിനോടൊന്ന് combine ചെയ്യാണ്ട്, if they are seen free, such carpel is called as apocarpus. Example, lotus and rose. So apocarpus are nothing but carpels which are free are called as apocarpus. Example, lotus and rose. And what is syncarpus? Again the opposite one of that. So when the carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. Examples are mustard and tomato. So when we see the carpels getting fused up together, it is called as syncarpus pistil, right? Example is mustard and tomato. You can see it here. So this is the ovary, and this apocarpus condition, the carpels will be free. It will not be attached, right? And in syncarpus condition, the carpels are fused up together. You can see they have shown it, right? So these carpels will be fused up together. So example is mustard and tomato, right?